Welcome back to the STLK in the UTA Jazz podcast. I'm Conjo. As y'all know, this is Paul, and I cannot believe it. We are finally back. A long time, long awaited.
2.5 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's my fault.
Yeah, we had holidays. We had some things to do. But
work,
as everybody knows,
jobs.
And as what we're delivering to everybody is that we're finally back.
The Jazz are back, by the way.
And the Jazz could not be more back. Did we just jump right in?
I didn't even know what to say. I'm so excited. We're coming off 2 losses.
I always told Paul, every time Paul goes on a little endeavor or whatever, the Jazz always do good. Every single time.
Every time.
So it's like, as much as I want Paul to be here, like we might start losing if he comes here. I don't know.
So from the day I left to the day I got back in town, the Jazz beat the Pacers, the Lakers, the Raptors, the Nuggets, the Bucks, the 76ers. Went 5-0 in the days I was
And a lot of those games were on the road.
All on the road, except for the Pacers and the Lakers. 3 of them, 4 of them.
Yeah, but that's
against the really good teams on the road.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Good for me for leaving.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, we are currently 9th in the West, if that is true up until last night.
10th now.
Lakers
have the tiebreaker as of right now.
Which is still playing.
Yeah, that's playing material.
And
which means we have a chance to make the playoffs and give up our lottery pick this year, which is great news.
So, what do we want to do? The golden question is, what are the Jazz doing? What are we planning to do? I wish I could give a for sure answer, but I think we're just too good.
So something I heard David Locke talk about was how the teams that win championships, and I'm actually going to pull them up, but the teams that win championships never come from the very bottom. Very rarely do teams bottom out. Like the Nuggets, they never really bottomed out.
No.
Like they got Jokic with a 2nd round pick. They didn't have to go all the way down to the Sixers, who did bottom out. They haven't made it to a conference finals.
It's a really good point, actually.
And these teams that are winning it all always come from the middle of the pack. They're never bottoming out. The Thunder, they might prove us wrong here in a couple of years.
But I don't think they were ever the bottom.
No, not like the 76ers were or the Bobcats.
Or even where the Spurs and the Pistons are right now. People don't understand how much longer of a process that is than just doing a smallish rebuild from the middle.
So the Warriors are an exception, I think, because the year Steph broke his hand, Klay tore his ACL.
Yeah, that doesn't count. They still had the roster.
Exactly. They didn't just get rid of everyone. After that, though, the Spurs maybe, but they never bottomed out. They won 50 wins consistently.
Yeah.
And then they go win a championship. I'm looking, maybe the Thunder, when they were the Sonics, were the last team to bottom out, win a championship. So to everyone's point of let's just trade everyone and tank. It's that doesn't equate a championship.
Does that solve anything?
Doesn't solve a thing.
I saw a thing on Twitter that I actually agree with. I think we are overvaluing 1st round picks. Would you agree?
Yes. I mean, depends.
The league is treating a 1st round pick.
Okay, I thought you meant the community.
I would guess the community too. We're acting like a 1st round pick is a secured player.
No, not even close.
No,
not even close.
So it's okay, well, we can get a bunch of 1st round picks. I'm like, okay, but how many 1st round picks do we have to go through for us to find somebody?
Dante Exum, 3rd pick in the draft.
Cantor.
I was gonna.
Trey Lyles.
Yeah,
there's a lot of guys.
Trey Lyles was
Trey Burke.
I don't want to talk about him. Listen, Trey Lyles, for what we thought he was going to be in the NBA versus what he was on the Jazz, to then have meaningful playoff minutes last year, I think you still take him at 13.
Rodney Hood.
But Rodney Hood, I mean, yeah, these guys that the Jazz are probably going to get in this 10 to 15 range, it's 1 every 4 hits.
Those guys, although decent, will not get us to this promised land as everybody thinks us getting a bunch of 1st round picks will do.
No, and it's you can only have so many players on the roster anyway.
So you got to get rid of somebody. So that's the problem. Is I think the 1st round pick is being overvalued for sure.
Well, it depends on what you're giving up to. If someone said would you trade Clarkson for a top 10 pick right now? I'm probably. Maybe.
Yeah.
But would I trade Lowry for a top 5 pick?
Absolutely not.
No, we already know what Lowry is.
And that was my problem with the whole Donovan and Rudy thing. It was hard for me to give that up because we already know what we have from them.
Best roster in the NBA.
We already know what we have from them and what we're going to get versus throwing it away for something that is completely unknown. So we'll get to trades in a second. So let's come back. I think, the Jazz are absolutely on a roll. They're they are 9-1 in their last 10 games before this 2-game losing streak.
Okay. So still 7-3.
Yeah. So before this losing streak, we were 9-1. We had 6 straight wins. We had 9 straight home wins.
That's a lot.
We're on an absolute roll.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, who do you think was the difference maker? I know the answer. Well, this isn't an opinion This is not an opinion.
If you don't say Colin Sexton, I'm kind of worried.
Colin Sexton.
He's turning into what Donovan was, which is crazy. And I bet you have the stats pulled
Shout
up.
out my mom. My mom texted me after the Rockets game and says Colin Sexton is the new Donovan.
He is. Well, they were actually selling Colin Sexton jerseys at Walmart. Unlicensed, non-NBA related, highlighter yellow, Colin Sexton
just horrible. But hey, Sexton.
Yeah, he's making an impact in the community and on the court.
So Sexton in the last 6 games is averaging 26 points and 5 assists.
That's a lot.
26 points.
That's a lot of points.
Let me remind you, his last year or second to last year in Cleveland, he averaged 24.
Bad team, good stats.
Still.
Yeah.
The thing is,
it's impressive.
The reason I bring that up is because he went from playing and averaging 24 points a game to a bench role within a year.
You don't see that often.
And that's why I say, you say bad team, whatever.
Yeah.
But still, I think anyone averaging 24 points that come off a bench role and honestly start the season slow is shocking. I don't think it's very common. And so for him to then finally, get his role, and I think the rotation is benefiting him immensely. Chris Dunn doesn't need a score, but he can pass the rock.
Almost had a triple double.
Yeah, he
goes
can
at 10, 8, and 7.
He can pass the rock, create a lot of flow for Sexton, and then George coming off the bench too. I think this rotation is giving Sexton the opportunity to just blossom.
So something I want to touch on if we're talking about players that are blossoming.
Absolutely.
Markkanen. Like he's better than he was last year.
That was my next point.
He's better than he was last year, and he was an all-star starter last year.
That's what I'm saying.
He probably won't make it this year. He did miss some time. I'm not sure why he's not going to make it. I mean, I hope
think
the
an
coaches
all-star.
Say that again.
I'd hope that he's still an all-star, not an all-star starter.
No, but like if you think of like the 10 best players in the West, he's probably there.
Yeah.
I hate how can we real fast the fan vote.
No, I don't even want to get into it. There's no point.
There's no point. Especially where like these all-star appearances are messing with people's salaries.
Yeah, no. And I heard it doesn't really contribute as much as people say it does.
50% of the starters.
But I just hate seeing the posts of the fan votes and seeing who's up there. I'm like, really? I just don't know if this is super valid or not.
I'm actually pulling it up right now because I just want to touch on this because there's so many people that don't watch basketball that are voting on this.
Yes.
And they're the ones creating the bots that are just constantly voting.
Like for Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
He's always up there on fan votes.
Always.
Great fan favorite. But realistically, guys, he is not an all-star. Honestly, he's not really much of a starter in my opinion.
No, okay, I'm actually like Kyrie's number 5 in the West for guards right now.
Like he's playing good, but we're dealing. I guess Ja doesn't count now because he's out.
Anyway, there's just so many that I just look at it and I'm like, Jimmy Butler's number 4 in the East.
Yeah,
like no,
that's ridiculous.
He's averaging like 17 points and doesn't play.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even see him playing.
This is cool. Tyrese is number 1 in the East for guards.
Halliburton.
Like he's from a small market, so you don't see that often.
And that makes me happy.
Makes me happy. Anyway, back to Markkanen. He's blossoming in a way. He's finding ways to impact the game without the ball. His off-ball cutting, I feel like, has just jumped tremendously.
Absolutely.
And his stats are showing it. 24 and 9. Yeah, that's awesome. That's all-star.
I absolutely think it is. And I think, again, it's these rotations. It's Fontecchio, right?
Yeah.
He does not need the ball in his hands.
No.
But he is there for a kick out every single time, which allows Lowry to be able to do his thing. Chris Dunn, same thing. He's not taking shots out of their hands. And that was the problem we had with THT, if you remember.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on
He was taking a lot of shots that were taking away from Markkanen shots, from Clarkson shots. And I think that's the biggest difference maker here is these rotations are allowing our stars to actually shoot the ball and play their game versus being taken from people that don't and shouldn't really be shooting the ball as much as they did.
In the last 10 games, Horton Tucker has played 12 minutes.
Yeah.
In our last 10 games, this is the best 10-game stretch we've had all
This
year.
is a great transition into the trade talk we want to do. This is, that was You Like Jazz.
I like that.
If you guys know the reference, I'll throw it up. That's our new segment. We start every pod. It's going to be You Like Jazz.
You like jazz?
And so this one is our trade talk showdown. There's a lot of buzz. Trade deadline's February 8th. There's a lot of buzz. It is clear to me that THT is going to be traded.
No reason to keep him.
He is 100% going to be traded. And I think this is a mutual thing, which is why he's not playing. I think it's the Jazz have sat down. Hey, you're probably gone. He's obviously not pleased with his role. And I think we're going to part ways.
What does a trade package for someone like him look like right now?
I think at the beginning of the season, it was hot.
What's hot for him, though?
I honestly think at the beginning of the season, it was probably like a role player and a first-round pick.
Wow.
Honestly, he's 22.
No, he's not. Is he still 22?
Yeah, he might be 23 now. He's one of the two. But that's the thing is his upside is still relatively there. Can you confirm?
Just turned 23.
Just turned 23.
Just turned 23.
So I'm like, his upside still exists.
Yeah.
It's still there.
It's still there.
But
you can, if you're a GM, you can talk yourself into this.
100%.
You can
absolutely talk yourself into something like this.
There's a lot of guys in the NBA that you can't talk yourself into.
The Knicks would eat something like this up. Oh, like some young guy, sure.
For THT straight up.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I personally can't talk myself into him. I've watched him too much because I don't love the Lakers, but I love watching them.
Yes.
So I've watched every THT game since he's been in the league now, Lakers and Jazz. There's not one thing that I think he excels at.
Yeah.
At the NBA level.
It's tough. And so going into the trade stuff, I was looking at, the top 10, trade, what would you call it? Assets,
Is it... Are you looking on like Fanspo? The people, yeah, it's the most used people in trades.
Yeah. So a few of these have been traded. Pascal Siakam to the Pacers was 4. OG Anunoby was like 6. Went to the Knicks. So Jordan Clarkson is number 10, and Lauri Markkanen is number 2.
Blasphemy.
Lauri not going to be traded.
No.
So Clarkson, I threw this up, and I'm glad you don't remember it because this is going to be an interesting conversation. So I threw up a trade that Woj tweeted, right? This says the Knicks are reportedly interested in Jordan Clarkson too, as well as, everyone else, like I said. If New York comes to Utah with an offer of Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, and 2 second-round picks, he says the Jazz should accept that deal. So I threw it up, and I said...
How many picks, sorry?
2 second-rounders.
Okay.
So I said, would you do this trade? To my surprise... It is 35% said yes and 65% said no. I think it's blasphemy to accept this trade. Blasphemy. I cannot even get behind why we would do this trade.
It's Fournier and Grimes and 2 picks.
Fournier isn't even getting minutes.
Do you know how many games he's appeared in this year?
It can't be 10.
3.
Yeah, I was going to say. So I don't know what
3 games, he's averaging 4 points. Quentin Grimes.
I actually like Quentin Grimes.
I don't, if I'm being honest. But
that's okay.
That's okay that you like him.
I think Quentin Grimes' role is just diminished over there. But I do think as a player, I think he's not really... I don't think he has much value, but I wouldn't mind him. I really do like him. I think he could blossom in a separate team in a different role.
Yeah, I mean, so he's appeared in 40 games this year, which is a lot, which is good.
That's a ton.
So I'm trying to pull this up. Here we go. In those 40 games, he is averaging 6.8 points, 71% from the line. He's a good shooter, 37%, 1 rebound, 1 assist. That's what I don't like. As a 23-year-old in the league, if you're averaging 1 rebound and 1 assist and you are 6'5", like what's your role? Because you're a good shooter, but like you're not shooting a lot. I don't know. I don't know why the Jazz would do it.
And 2 second-round picks is a bag of chips to me.
No, it's like just send us cash.
Literally,
send us a goodies basket.
That is a nacho cheese Dorito because it looks good and it is good.
I actually bought some nacho Doritos.
At the end of the day, is it gonna do much for me? No, but at the moment, yeah, sure. That's probably what that's a good analogy to me.
I feel like this is a trade just to trade. Like, why would the Jazz?
No, 100% is.
Like, in what world are the Jazz looking at this and they're like, this is what we want to give up Clarkson
Let's give up a Utah-based man who has so much pride in this team, means so much to the Jazz.
So much.
Has the most, right here.
Yep.
Has the most 30-point games off the bench in Jazz history, tied with Thurl Bailey.
The most triple-doubles in the last 10 years.
Yes, the most triple-doubles won in the last 10 years. And we're going to trade him for a bag of nacho cheese Doritos and maybe some Takis.
And like an open can of pop. Like, I don't understand the trade. Now, if we can get a third team involved and get a first-round pick, sure, we'll talk about it.
Absolutely. But in this case...
This trade's terrible.
It's not going to do it for me.
Here's the thing. New York... based Reddit probably posted this, and they were probably like, this is amazing. And like so many guys on Twitter and Reddit will do this where they're like, okay, I want this guy. Salary matches here and here. Sweet, let's send it off. And it's like, no one's going to do that.
I would have loved OG Anunoby. I honestly,
everyone would have.
The thing is like, I feel like he has no tape. Like I've never seen him do anything in Toronto for some reason, but his ceiling has been like so high for years. But legit, I never see him.
You remember when
do anything?
They wouldn't trade him for 3 first-round picks and KD.
Yeah, I was just really? Like, what? So he's been a mystery to me. But ever since he's gone to the Knicks, he has the best plus minus. He's a really good 2-way, and I think he would have fit with the Jazz like really, really well.
I agree. So I've watched a handful of Knicks games because that's a really intriguing trade to me. Because I was like, what do they gain? Because RJ and Emmanuel quickly are really good players.
No, like great.
But like they also don't play defense like OG does. Watching it, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like giving Tibbs OG was like the coolest thing in the world.
Tibbs will play him as many minutes as he wants.
44 minutes a game the last 5 games. He's playing a lot. He looks really good on defense. And that's the biggest improvement, I think. The Knicks have enough scoring with Brunson and Randall where they can go, and Josh Hart, I think, is an underrated player.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
But to put OG out there just to chase everyone around on defense, great trade by the Knicks.
Yeah. Other players on the market, DeJounte Murray. He's not rumored with the Jazz, just throwing, his name
Jazz
out there.
Fans are trying to make the rumor.
I honestly would love it. I think we'd kind of run into a weird rotation situation.
We already have enough guards. That's the thing.
Exactly. So that's why I'm kind of like not in love with it. Brogdon is another one.
Yeah, I was on record earlier this year saying the Jazz should go after Brogdon.
And I mean, that one's fine. And then the other one is, Quentin Grimes.
I don't know why. It's like, I feel like Quentin Grimes is like THT 3 years ago, where it's like everyone's like, go get him. I'm like, why? Like, what are we looking for here?
Yeah, and I think it's just, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to throw out a prediction on what we think is going to happen. I don't think we're going to make a big, crazy trade.
What if you, gun to your head, love that analogy, gun to your head, what Jazz man is not on the roster on February 10th?
I don't want to say it.
Say it.
It's Jordan Clarkson.
Over Olynyk?
Olynyk's probably gone too because he's an expiring contract.
Yeah.
But and THT. Those are the 3 that I would predict are no longer on the Jazz February 10th.
Yeah.
And it's tough. Like I really don't want, but honestly, Clarkson deserves it. We've said it before. Like a team that is in a win now situation will pay a lot for a guy named like Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah.
Any team that's trying to win it this year will pay for a guy who will give you 30 off the bench any given night. And they will pay a lot. So I think, that's where it kind of comes down to.
I just got this notification, and I think these are hilarious, especially this time of year.
I'm excited to hear because I have no idea.
And it's simple, but the Miami Heat are not expected to land DeJounte Murray and will look at cheaper options in the trade market. No kidding.
All right.
Did anyone ask Miami?
Let's talk about who is in the market to get him instead of just like, hey, the Charlotte Hornets do not have enough to get DeJounte Murray. Okay,
the Denver Nuggets told you that. Not expected to move Jokic. It's like, thank you for the report. Like,
thank you for telling what any common human being would know.
Anyway, I just think those are hilarious on the DeJounte Murray note.
It's so interesting. Like it's weird to me. Anyways, we have a quick little segment. Clarkson Corner. We're just going to throw up this fit, break it down a little bit. Honestly, this one's a really quick one. It's another travel fit. I personally love it. He's got his bag. And what Clarkson actually said was he brings typically 3 suitcases.
Empty.
Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't bring clothes. No. If for a road trip, that's like 2 weeks. A girl's absolute nightmare.
Dream.
No, nightmare. Having to pack for that. No, empty bags? Dream.
I was going to say, that's
having to bring bags?
My wife went to Europe and I said, why did you check 2 bags? She goes, well, one's for my clothes and one's for the clothes I'm buying. And I'm like, that gave me anxiety.
Yeah, what a great thing to hear. So,
oh man,
it's a good one. He just wants to shop on the road, and I think
he said
that's crazy.
We're hitting some great cities for shopping. Tell me if these cities sound great to you. New Orleans. Maybe. Washington, D.C. I was just in New Orleans. Not great for shopping. Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Charlotte.
No.
And then, back-to-back New York games. Sure.
Honestly, he's saying great cities. I bet you he's referring to New York.
It's just New York only. Yeah, he's not sitting there calling people in Washington, D.C. It's like, what's the clothing scene like?
Yeah, anyway. So we've got about 10 minutes left. We want to throw something out. It's called Around the Rim. Whereas it's a rapid fire, but at the same time not, because is anything a rapid fire with me and Paul? You give us one small inch and we'll give you a foot of just anything.
Yeah.
So, and as I was talking about this with Paul, I get a notification and I'll read you exactly what it says. And it's from our brotherly friend, Kevin Durant.
Love him.
And it says, KD wants to be in GOAT debate. Durant points to his resume and says, what haven't I done?
I love how people can just like interject themselves. He's like, hey, I'd like to be considered. It's like, all right.
He didn't say he is.
He's just like, I would love to be a part of this.
He likes to be considered, and I think it's ridiculous.
I would like to walk into a barbershop and hear my name too. Like,
yeah.
You don't love it though.
I don't love it. Okay. I heard rumors that you love it.
That did make the round tables. I love it. And here's the thing. It's LeBron, a couple feet of like nothing. Michael.
Yep. Okay.
But here's my take. If KD can go win one more championship as the guy.
Do not put him over Kobe.
Okay.
Do not put him over Kobe.
I wasn't expecting you to bring him up. But I think KD's top 10.
Yes. This should be.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes. He's top 10.
Steph Curry. You have Steph Curry or KD all time higher?
Steph.
Okay. Larry Bird or Kevin Durant all time?
Larry Bird.
How many rings does he have?
Actually, let's look at that.
Because that's important. 3.
Yes, Larry Bird.
KD has 2.
2, and they are the most invalid rings ever.
So
you lose me at joining a 73-9 team, and I will always hold that against him.
Lost in the finals.
Yes, but I'll always hold that against him.
Why?
That's just ridiculous.
If you're in the exact same spot, and I hate that this conversation about KD always goes back to this decision, but it's going to follow him around forever.
Absolutely.
I personally probably would join that team.
Yes, okay, but not if you're the best.
Why not? He wasn't looked at as the best in the league at the time.
Like, why, if you can't beat them, join them? No. I hate that.
So would you rather, if you're KD, are you going back to OKC, where you keep losing in the playoffs? Are you going to Washington, D.C., where they had nothing? Yes. It was just like hometown.
Yeah.
Or are you going to Golden State? Or
this
Boston?
Is the thing. I look at it when we do pickup, right? There's always a team that usually wins King of the Court over and over again. And the golden line is, would you like to switch up teams? And I say no, because I want to beat them. I want to beat them. I don't want to join them. I want to beat them.
That's a bad argument. Let me tell you why. First of all, no one at pickup is the Golden State Warriors. Like we're winning games 15-13. It's not like we're blowing teams out.
Yeah, but still, like you don't want to switch up teams. You want to beat the team that's dominating.
I know, but those games are like 5 minutes long. KD was in OKC for what, 8 years?
Yeah, with a really good team.
Yeah, but they weren't the best.
But why
okay.
If he's a GOAT, he would make his team the best.
So you're on a team that just lost.
If he's in the GOAT debate, he makes his team the best.
Oh, I agree. You're on the team that just lost. The other team that just lost said, Conjo, do you want to join us? That way we can win it? Sure.
Yes, that is enticing.
I don't care what your regular season record is. Like, you're telling me we can go win it if I join you? Great. Granted, do I think the Warriors win it that year if they go out and they get... I don't know. Like, who's an upgraded Harrison Barnes?
Okay, to your point, he did win Finals MVP.
He was the best player on the team.
Yes. So that's the thing, is he was even better than Steph.
Yes. That's my point. It's like he joined
that's
them.
Where I will give you, like, I will give you that he did. It's not like he went there and he wasn't the Finals MVP either year. He just contributed, right? He went out there and he was even better than anybody on a team that just went 73-9.
Kevin Durant career, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 50% from the field, 38, almost 39 from 3, 88, almost 89 from the free throw.
I think KD is a top 3 scorer of all time.
Okay, here's a question. You have a
top 2, arguably.
You have 10 seconds left and you're down by 1. Out of all the players in the history of the game, where does KD fall on the list of people that you give the ball to and say, go get me a bucket?
Honestly, like 3. I think that comes down to just scores. In that conversation, I'd go... like LeBron, MJ, Kobe, KD.
I'm not taking LeBron over him. KD can get a shot off over anyone. anyone.
Oh yeah, over anyone. He's a monster.
He's
insane.
a monster. That's my point. Like, if it's just I'm getting frustrated.
He's the best scorer.
If it's just a resume debate of like who has more rings, then let's just give it to Bill Russell.
No, I always be I mean, Robert Horry better than Michael Jordan.
Yeah, like that's my point. He's like, what was he, 7 for 7 in the finals? Like, but if
why isn't that talked about?
Like, if you're looking at like who is the best player on some of the best teams ever, KD's up there. The Golden State Warriors in 2017, one of the best teams ever.
Yes,
and KD was the best player.
How many MVPs does KD have?
Just one. Which is
okay.
I mean, you're in the midst of LeBron's.
Yes.
Like,
okay, yeah, exactly. GOATs just will.
I agree. He's not the greatest player of all time. Is he allowed to be in the top 5 conversation? Yeah, like he's allowed to be in it. If that's the argument, I think he's in the conversation. We can talk about it. I don't think anyone's going to like end the conversation and be like,
we've established he's not the GOAT, but the argument is if he's in the conversation.
Which is hard because I don't know if he falls my top 10 and maybe I just have to sit down and write it down. But like, he's like, if I have one playoff series and I need the best player on the team, I might pick KD over 99% of the league, like right now and history. That's my argument on it. 7-game series, where does he fall all time? Top 5, probably.
Yeah, I will side with he is the top 2 scorer of all time.
Who's number 1?
Kobe.
No, 38% from the field, top 5.
Still, he's gonna give you a bucket.
Yeah, he's gonna.
If you want someone to give you a bucket, it's gonna be Kobe and KD.
Yeah, I'd take KD over Kobe, but sure, that's fine,
and that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's how good they both are.
That's something I like. I'm okay of establishing. Like, I'm okay with either one. But a whole GOAT debate thing, I think it's blasphemy and ridiculous that KD thinks he should be in that conversation. And I honestly think anybody outside of MJ or LeBron should even be in that conversation. I think I think when it goes MJ LeBron, I think there is a massive gap to whoever is next.
I agree. I completely agree. But if you want to expand the conversation and say who else would be in it, I think you're allowed to talk about Kobe, KD. Steph's getting up there, which is crazy. I'm not the GOAT, but like if you're extending it, is what I'm saying. If you're extending it, Steph's going to be up there. Prime Shaq is up there.
Prime Shaq's up there. I honestly, Tim Duncan.
I have Tim Duncan higher than Kobe all the time.
Tim Duncan is nasty.
I might get some hate for that. Tim Duncan higher than Kobe.
Tim Duncan is nasty. Honestly, there's Kareem. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Again, the old and new generation mix off is
it's hard.
It's relative. But like, from what I know, like Tim Duncan, Kobe, Shaq, MJ, LeBron, like that's
KD.
That's a good group. Yeah. And I think that's a solid group that we can like be okay with.
Yeah, like if you want to talk like the top 3 greatest of all time, or if like you're making a 3-on-3 team, I think KD's probably going to end up on there somewhere. Is he top 2 all time? No, you're right.
Yeah,
but he's allowed to be.
So
in this
let us know. I mean, is KD? How do we word it? Should KD be considered in the GOAT conversation?
Okay, can we
is that the way to rephrase it?
Let's rephrase it like this: outside of Michael and LeBron, take those 2 out.
But you can't.
No, that's because they're so far ahead of everyone else.
Okay.
Can KD be in the conversation realistically for a top 3 outside of them? Could KD be
a top
in the top 5? Is KD in the top 5 all time?
Okay.
Is that a conversation? Let us know. Is it yes or no? Is he top 5?
Because if you're top 5, is the GOAT conversation a pool of 5?
Let's say that. The GOAT conversation, to be in the conversation, you have to be top 5 all time.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
I think he's higher
than KD top 5 all time?
That's a hard question.
So let us know what y'all think. Alrighty, that was fun. And honestly, for that kind of thing, I'm giving Paul a light bulb moment, throwing that up.
That's pretty sweet.
That's pretty sweet, huh? Yeah. So, Paul's brain was moving right there, so he deserves the light bulb.
Thank you.
But this has been a great episode. We are back every Tuesday. we're throwing out content, all week. Stay tuned. But we are officially back every single Tuesday. Stay tuned. Just had a recent hat drop. Y'all will see those, everywhere. It was awesome. They're beautiful. I don't think there's not much other news, right? New pod set up. We're back.
I think this looks great, by the way.
If you haven't heard of us by now, you'll hear of us, coming up. So we're really excited. As y'all know, I'm Conjo. This is Paul. This has been the STLK in the UTA Jazz Podcast. Hit like, subscribe, share us, whatever it may be, and we'll catch you back on Tuesday.